Hello and welcome to another video. As it is the beginning of October, I felt it was time to give you an update on the garden. It's actually the 30th of September today, but as we're coming into October and this video will come out in October, this is the October garden update. I was just watching back over the last garden tour I did and realised that the way I've been filming them, it's a bit difficult to follow where I am in the garden, so I'm going to try and have sort of a way that I progress through the garden so you can kind of see it as each part of the garden is changing and growing, so it's easier to follow what I'm doing. So to give a sense of orientation, I am at the top part of our land. This is the driveway and the track that comes down, and then the cabin and the house are here behind these olive trees. So if I go down the driveway, this is where the veg garden begins. So this is the first bed which I'm just mostly growing flowers in, really. So this was looking very unhappy in the last video, so I pruned back a lot of the parts of the cosmos that were dead, and that's really coming back to life now. We've got a few zinnias here as well. We've had a lot of rain the last couple of weeks and the garden's just really starting to come back to life, which is really lovely to see, and I'm glad I didn't, really cut back everything, because like even these calendula, they were all looking like this, and now they've come back to life and they're looking lovely. And then I've mulched all along here with the leaves that are falling off all the cork oaks. I've still just left all this. This is the black nightshade. The flowers are lovely and there's nothing else growing here at the moment, so I see no harm in it, and I would really like to try and make some ink from the berries. This is a type of sage that I planted in the summer and struggled a bit, but is much happier now. We've got a bay tree that I did have in a pot and was really struggling, and that's really happy now it's planted. Some lemon verbena for tea that I've moved from up by the house. This is amaranth. It's called Giant Orange, and I planted this one a couple of months ago and it's been a slow grower, and then I'll show you one up by the house that is massive. So yeah, that's called orange giant amaranth. But yeah, it's grown really well here. I planted the seeds in August, I think it was. And then this is just some hibiscus that is growing slowly but definitely happier now after the rain, and this is the one that you can make tea from. And then I just have a small thyme here and just some more flowers. This one's definitely dead. So yeah, this flower bed is the first entrance, and then I have another small one here that was plants that my friend Harriet sent me some money for, because she just was like, I want to be a part of your garden. So this is the Harriet bed, which has also struggled over the summer but is pulling through very well. We've got some lemon balm. I don't know the name of all the flowery shrubs, but they will look beautiful in the spring. There's lots of fat hen growing here that I should probably pull up, and a not very happy hawthorn that is just about pulling through. Again, I think it just needs a couple of years to settle and get used to the hot weather. And here is an agave that my friend Andrea pulled up for me. Her plant had lots of babies. They are prolific mothers. So I have a few more up by the house as well, but I'm just seeing how it grows in this soil, because I don't know if it might be a little damp here for it, I'm not too sure. But yeah, just to orientate where we are again, so we've got the picotta here and the well, and then behind me is the actual veg garden. So I shall start here with bed number 1. So these are the two beds I've been working on over the last couple of weeks, and maybe the reason I'm starting here is because they're tidy and the rest of the garden, as you'll see, is a little bit of a mess. But now that I can start working during the day, it's just been a real joy. And I'm trying to be a little bit more organised because I do garden quite chaotically, but I think it was getting a little bit too chaotic, so now I am trying to sort of define a bit more clearly with straight lines. So again, we've got calendula going down the middle, which has been there since the spring and keeps dying and coming back. The self-seeded black-eyed Susans, and there were a few more, so I've dug them up and tried to pop them here, and then I've popped in a few daffodil bulbs, so hopefully they'll come up beautifully in the spring. I've got a row of onions here. These are ones that I planted in trays, so they're a little bit more established, but I am going to buy a load of onion sets to put in as well, because we eat a lot of onions and we've just finished the spring ones, so we have a bit of a gap where we're having to buy them, which is a bit disappointing, but there we go. And then here I've planted a load more onion seeds, as well as some coriander seed, and I think it was cabbage, I can't remember, I'm terrible at labelling, but yeah, just in these trenches, so it's easier to water. And then down the middle of there I've put some phacelia, which I also grew in trays last month, so the seedlings have gone out, and that's more of like a green manure that's good for the soil. And then we've got some peas here, and I've put up a better structure than I did in the spring, because it was just terrible. And my plan actually is to put some more of these poles along the garden, so that I can add some shade cloth in the summer along there, just to give a bit of relief for myself, so I can garden. And then I have a few chickpeas that I recently planted, and they're thriving. They look really happy. I don't know how much support chickpeas need, so please do let me know in the comments, because your comments are really helping me learn to garden. So as much as I'm trying to share what I learned, you guys are helping me too, and if you are using these videos to help you learn how to grow things in Portugal, then I would really recommend reading the comments, because people are very knowledgeable and happy to share their knowledge. So this is the other bed I've been working on. I planted out some spinach. There's a few rogue chickpea plants in here, some radishes, mizuna, and then self-sown beans, because the beans were in here over the summer, and then I picked them and chopped down the plants, and a few beans have grown, so I'm just leaving them, and I'll build a small structure for them. And then I have just 4 rows here, which 2 are with onions, and I can't remember the other 2 again. It's either cabbage or radish or something like that, or maybe some beetroot. I think there's beetroot in there, yeah. So we'll see what comes up. It's always nice to have a surprise. And then just at the back there is just currently has sheep manure on. My neighbour has sheep. They live just over here, so I went over for a coffee on Sunday, and she told me to help myself to their manure, so I got a wheelbarrow full, and then I'm going to get a few more wheelbarrows, because the soil really does need a lot of nutrients put back into it. And then I'm really trying to mulch, so here currently I'm not very happy with it being so exposed, so I'm going to get some more leaves to mulch there. I've got wood chip on here, and then where the manure is I'm going to add some more leaves as well, and maybe I'll just plant a green manure in there. This is the bed that I will next be working on, so there's still some cosmos growing in here, some beans that need cutting back, and the sweet corn that was an absolute failure this year. And then these are the lardosa beans. I harvested a load of these in the last video, and there's still loads more to harvest, but since we've had the rain, they've gone quite black on the outside, so I really need to do that this weekend, and save what I can, because I think the beans inside are still doing okay. And then there's a few, then because of the change in the season, the plant's now recovered and is restarting to grow, which is quite cool. Something that I've never noticed of the seasons in the UK, the way things grow throughout the year. it's quite different here. So this again a bed that needs some love, working my way along the beds. So this is the 5th bed along. So we've got still some chives and blueberries here, and then just a load of weeds, and then tomato plants with my terrible tomato structure. Something to work on next year. Tomatoes are still doing okay. There is quite a lot of the blossom end rot still, but there are plenty to savour, which has been really lovely to still have lots of tomatoes. So yeah, I think maybe the onion sets will go in this bed once I've got the compost done. This bed, although abandoned, is still quite prolific in what it's producing. So this is full of tomatoes. I've got basil that has got loads of seeds on it that I'm going to collect. And the peppers, although weren't a great success, I'm still getting some, so quite happy with them really, and have learnt that I just need to give them a lot more compost next year and keep an eye on the way I'm watering them, because I think not only not watering them enough, but someone commented that the way the roots were getting exposed is because of the way like our watering system just is not great. And yeah, it's kind of like too powerful really, and it's washing away the soil, and also because it's not mulched, it's not protected. So this is bed number 6. Again, this is still doing quite happily with the marigolds and tomatoes. These are the superomas, which I did start building a structure for, but actually I think they've been kind of okay without one because they're quite small growing, and they've definitely been a lot less partial to the blossom end rot, but Iwan does say he doesn't really like cooking with them ones as much, but they're good for salad, so I will still grow them next year. So this is bed number 8. So because it's the first one from the house, it was the one that was getting the most love over the summer, and now it's kind of not had much as I've started working down the other end. But yeah, this has been my most prolific bed over the summer. So we've just got this lemon tree growing here. And then we've got a cucumber plant, and I'm letting some of them get really big so I can get some seeds from them. We've got a row of different varieties of tomatoes, so I think these are the orange Curaçao boy, the beefsteak tomatoes. The fennel's now going over, but I've collected loads of seeds from that. I'm going to get some more as well and kind of just scatter them, because so the rest of the plateau we are just going to fill with wild flowers and bulbs and trees, and kind of let it do as it pleases, but just with giving it some things to grow there. But I have got a really prolific couple of chilli plants in here, and the sage, and some asparagus. That's all doing really well along here. I think because I mulched quite well, and it does get more water. So yeah, that bed is doing really well. So this is again the orientation of where we are. So there is a row of cosmos that I planted here, and then just behind this sage olive tree between us and the climbing wall is my bed of strawberries. And what I'm actually going to do is lift them and put them in one of these beds once I clear it, because it was just, I think I need to really make the space that I'm working with smaller. I think I just had too big a space, and with the fact that we're, you know, building our house and everything as well on top of it, it was just a bit too big a space to work with. So I'm going to try and pull it closer together, and then we have up at the house. So again, for orientation, this is the driveway where I started. We've got the flower bed and the picotta, and then the 8 veg beds here. so I will try and make it easier to follow them as they develop and what grows and the successes and failures that we have. And then I'll take you up to the beds up by the house. I was a little bit like, oh, I should really tidy up, but this is real life. So it's a bit messy, our laundry everywhere. We're in the middle of finishing up insulating the cabin, and Iwan's been strimming and making wine, and there's a sausage dog in the path. You good? So this is the giant amaranth growing here, which I planted even later than the one that I showed you at the beginning, and this has just gone crazy, and it's because I gave it so much more water. So it's starting to flower now, so it's the seeds you can eat, and there is a pink one in here, so it must have snuck into the seed packet. And then of course cosmos and some basil, and then my friend Sophie gave me this beautiful plant, and I can't remember if she told me if it's an outdoor plant or if it needs to go in the winter, so it's still in its pot. And then as I turn around, so we've got the cabin here, I'll be lying on the floor all dramatically here, and then this is the tomato bed, which you've probably seen quite a lot of, but I've had a bit of a shift around here because we were trying to work out how to lay out the beds up here, because we need to build paths because it gets really muddy in the winter, so we want to lay down some chipping or wood chips, and we couldn't figure it out. And then we had a revelation that actually, rather than trying to contain the beds, we can contain the paths and then just fill in the paths, and then everywhere else can be wild and full of plants. So maybe it seems simple, but it was a revelation to us. So yeah, the tomatoes are still producing a bit, but they are bursting because of having had too much rain now. So I think we are definitely coming to the end. And then when Iwan's mum was here, she bought us a few plants, so they have started bulking up this area here, and they're looking really happy. We've got these beautiful pansies. This is one of the phacelias as well, that's getting bigger now. So that's a green manure that's really good for the bees. We have thyme here that's just spreading like crazy, and we really want it to. We want to cover as much with thyme as we can. This is all oregano. These are some of the flowers chambotus that are just settling in, so they've dried up a bit. I'll give them some more compost and water. And then this beautiful purple one in the background. So these are more ornamentals, because this is sort of the view from inside the house. So yeah, we're just letting the tomatoes sort of finish. There's lots of herbs and basil growing in here. Another big basil plant here. And then I have started planting up some salady things here, just to be closer to the house, because it's just easier to pick if you're just making a sandwich and you want some salad. Or some coriander. So yeah, I'm doing a little salad bed up here, and I will also show you over here. So I've started planting up around our bathroom, our outdoor bathroom, and one thing I did plant here was a loofah plant, and this one has been the most successful, and it's just grown crazy. And I think again it's just because it gets so much more water here because it's close to the house, so hopefully it's not too late in the year and we should get some loofahs, which is very exciting. And then we just have these beds around the cabin. Again, they just get a lot more water because they're so close to the IBC tank mostly. So yeah, this is just mostly ornamentals and flowers and herbs and things, but since the weather's changed, this has just been so much happier and greener, so it's really nice to see. I have got a rogue tomato plant in there actually. And then over here is the seed nursery, and a lot of Iwan's bonsais, but I've got a few chickpea plants for friends. They're actually growing happier in the pots, so maybe I should have left the ones longer before I planted them out. Ginger and turmeric growing here. I think we need a greenhouse to keep them going now. It's getting colder. These are the rest of the agave and a prickly pear. So just not too sure where to pop them yet, so they're in pots. And then these are all my babies that are growing at the moment. So I'm having a small dilemma where the sun is burning off most of the Sharpie notes I write on the seed trays, and then I even tried it on some wooden sticks, and that also has disappeared with the rain. So it's mostly guessing what is growing. Some I always recognise, like I always know if it's cosmos. These are cabbages, and that one is there's coriander and parsley. I think the one at the back is parsley. We've got some pansies growing. I think this one is hibiscus, and there's some beetroot. Oh, and this was one I definitely wanted to show you. So I'm finally managed to grow some lavender. Someone shared in the comments that the seeds need to be not covered. There is some Phacelia that's escapes in here as well, but these are baby lavender and they already smell like lavender. But yeah, apparently they need sunlight to grow, so you don't want to cover them with compost. So I'm really chuffed because I've been trying to grow lavender for a long time, and that has finally come through. And then this is just one of the other flower beds that we have up by the house. There's a passion fruit in there, and I think this is a peach tree. Is this one a peach tree, Iwan? Cherry, it's a cherry tree. Iwan knows more about the trees. And then this is just a marigold that's gone crazy, and a small little orange cosmos here. But yeah, that is the garden at the beginning of October, and it definitely feels like it's starting to come together a little bit better in my head anyway. So much to learn, but there's been some really great successes this summer so far. Tomatoes mostly. But yeah, I'm going to buy some carrot seeds because I didn't realise I'd run out of them, and then we've also bought a load of garlic bulbs from the supermarket because I can't find them in any of the garden shops, which is kind of strange to me, but I'm going to try them anyway and see how they go. So yeah, I'll let you know. Thank you. This helps with the filming.
Saudi. Pedro's wine.
Who's Pedro?
I knew you were going to ask that. Pedro is our winemaking friend who lives near Belmonte.
Nice. Gardening's better with wine, thank you.
Certainly is.
So it is the morning of the 1st of October. Oh, there's a big bird in the tree. And we're about to continue with insulating the cabin, but I just wanted to spend a quick half an hour in the garden because I wanted to harvest the chilies because I'm going to thread them up to dry, and we've got rain coming on Sunday, so I wanted to get them before it rains, and everything's quite dry right now, so I'm going to do that in my slippers. There's also still quite a lot of figs on the tree, so I'm gonna pick some of them for us to have for breakfast.